Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this week's edition of State of the Yankees. Today is Sunday, September 30th, 2018, and we close out the regular season today. All games start at 3 o'clock, so those that are actually having deciding games for the playoffs can't get an unfair advantage of not playing to their full potential to try and win that spot. In today's agenda, we'll cover some highlights from this week, close out the regular season, break down the wildcard game, the much anticipated wildcard game, and answer some viewers' questions from the last couple of videos. Start things off with some highlights. The Yankees clinched wildcard home field advantage with their win over Boston on Friday, in combination with the fact that they had a great series in Tampa, and with them having actually something on the line, not much, but enough to make it interesting. And of course, with the Oakland losses to Seattle, gave us home field advantage for the wildcard game. So Wednesday, October 3rd, 2018, the American League wildcard game will be played at Yankee Stadium. That's very good news for the Yankees. It's much more positive outlook for them, for sure. Doesn't guarantee anything, but it definitely works in their favor as opposed to playing in Oakland. So, another highlight is New York, along with Boston and Houston, established something that has not occurred in the 150-plus year history of Major League Baseball. Now, that says something, because if you can accomplish a feat that has not been done in 150 years without the aid of changes to the rules, that's unprecedented. There's no precedent for it. It's first time. And that remarkable feat is that for the first time ever, 3 teams from the same league finished the season with 100-plus wins, with New York having secured their 100th win yesterday with a win over Boston, Boston already at like 107, something like that, and Houston being at 101 wins, first time ever has ever occurred. Mark that down, because this will probably not happen for a very long time, if ever. Doesn't happen very often to get such unprecedented records. Even as you change the game and different rules come into play to manipulate other records, this one, it boggles the mind that that things can still happen that for the first time ever, really. Okay, so to give you a little bit of a teaser for end of the video is the viewer question that had been asked since the last release, which has absolutely nothing to do with the previous video, but it's been asked, so I'll take any questions from our viewers. And they asked, why didn't the Yankees get Jacob DeGrom from the Mets at the trade deadline? Think about that one, come up with your own ideas, and I'll be happy to compare notes with you when I give you my answer at the end of this video. So, to recap this week, the Yankees went into Tampa, with Tampa having very little on the line, but the Yankees definitely have something to play for. And they've also not done well. They are like 1-5 in the Trop. I mean, I don't know the exact numbers off the top of my head, but I do know that they have had an abysmal record in the Trop this year on the road against Tampa. They've been virtually unbeatable. And not because Tampa's that good, but because the Yankees have just played that horribly down there. Having said that, they had to go into Tampa and take games in order to get the wild card, to get home field advantage, and they managed to do 3 out of 4 from Tampa. I wasn't even expecting that. I really was expecting at best a split, and we go into Boston and do our best. But the fact that they took 3 out of 4 not only officially eliminated Tampa from contention, although it was kind of inevitable because they were at like a 2 or a 1 going into the series, so it was unlikely they were going to survive anyway, but there was still that statistical possibility. Having said that, the Yankees took care of business, and they won 3 out of 4. And they go into Boston with the wildcard home field on the line, and Boston having sealed home field advantage throughout the playoffs earlier this week, had literally nothing to play for. Even the manager, Alex Cora, commented that Boston is in tune-up mode, preparing for the postseason, which I completely get and totally understand. You gotta rest guys, you gotta give people the right innings to of pitching to keep them sharp and get them ready, and there's nothing to play for, so it's hard to have that competitive fire in you and try to win. Therefore, going into this weekend series, it really kind of works to the Yankees' advantage because they actually did have something to play for. Therefore, winning the series was kind of be expected, even if it is Boston. And they've been kicking our butt in Boston horribly this year, but having nothing to play for really takes a lot of air out of your sails. So we took the first 2 games of the series. We had a meaningless final game this Sunday. The series is tied 9-9, but again, that's completely irrelevant at this point because this is the last game of the season. There's nothing on the line. They've got home field advantage. The only thing that winning 10 out of 9 for the season series does is give you bragging rights, which, depending on the outcome of the postseason, will never come up. Who cares? So, some positives on this week. Didi Gregorius is back from his injury. He played this weekend against Boston and has some positive results with some RBIs and home runs. Gary Sanchez, who has had like a 183 ER batting average coming into this weekend, hit his first home run to break out of his slump against Boston on Saturday. And Judge hit his first home run coming back from the DL. Now, to strike that on Gary's first home run, it wasn't his first home run of the season. He's had over 20, but his first home run since his hitting slump, which dropped his batting average down to 183. Okay, coming back around. Aaron Judge hits his first home run coming from the DL. That is great. We want that out and behind him and get him comfortable and getting him swinging again. That's awesome. That also puts him at 27 for the year. It's like half of what he got, 52 last year. It's half. But he also spent a lot of time on the DL. It's most unfortunate. I think he could have easily hit 50 home runs this year, but the DL kind of does take a lot out of you. I am, however, glad he did get that home run out of the system and behind him so he can go into playoffs with that pressure off his back. Some concerns I have going into this wild card game and the playoffs as a whole is on Saturday, the Yankees built up an 8-2 lead against Boston, and even with Boston having absolutely nothing to play for, the bullpen still let them get back into the game. They got to 8-5 by the 9th inning, and it became a save situation. Realistically speaking, if you're trying to tune up for the postseason and you're trying to win something and establish something and get that home field advantage and prepare for a playoff against this team, you can't afford your bullpen to let them back in the game that close and that competitively when they have nothing to play for. Because when they're coming out full steam ahead, all hands on deck in that division series, and they're coming out there fully charged, ready to pummel you, you don't want your bullpen to collapse and to give games away. You just can't afford it. So that's a concern. The other thing is who's going to close either the wild card game or if they make it past Oakland, the division series. Chapman, Britton, and Patanzas have all had turns at closing in the past month, and while they've all had signs of brilliance, they've also blown saves. Saves in which it's not like they narrowly missed it or someone got the best of them. I mean, like, they really, pitched horribly. Way outside the strike zone, walking guys, fielding errors. I mean, stupid stuff that a closer should not do. So, we'll see what they decide to do when they go to the wild card game and potentially the division series. But I do have a concern about who's going to close out that game. They all have the ability to. They've all shown signs of brilliance, but they are human. Okay, on to the breakdown against Oakland for the wild card game. Now, as previously stated in last week's video, we have split the season series against Oakland. We went 2-1 in New York. However, that's a marginal consolation prize. Now, they are relatively even matched. Oakland is better on the road. New York is better at home, which sort of gives you that feeling of the 2009 World Series on paper, in the sense that the very best road team in all Major League Baseball, and the Philadelphia Phillies, went into the New York Yankee Stadium being the best team at home the entire Major League season. However, there's a big difference because in that series, you had Cliff Lee starting for Philadelphia. You've got Mike Fryer starting for Oakland, who is 3-2 with a 4.93 ERA average coming from Detroit. Solid pitcher, sure. Is he a good starter, fourth line pitcher? Sure. But do I want to put the whole season on the line with Mike Fryer? I personally wouldn't. Jay Happ, however, coming from Toronto, is 7-0 with a 2.69 ERA. He's been lights out and everything you'd want for putting the game on the line. Those are the probable pitchers for the wildcard game. Nothing has been announced, but that's who they lined up because both pitchers went on Friday, which will put them on no more rest for Wednesday. So, coming to other notes for equal lineup here is the Yankees have hit more home runs during the season, have a deeper bench, have had more hits, doubles, and home runs 1 through 9 than the Oakland A's. Now, all this on paper sounds great, but you still got to play the game because the Yankees have had plenty of struggles offensively throughout the season, especially when they've played against teams like Oakland. They can absolutely be held down. New York's bullpen is stronger on paper, but again, you got to play the game. Nerves come into play, playoff experience comes into play, a lot of elements come into play. The key to this game is going to be pitching. Could it be an onslaught of a home run derby? Sure. I just don't see it. I see pitchers being on a short leash. I see all hands on deck. I see managers going to go to the bullpen any sign of trouble and try and wiggle out of things with a new arm. They're not going to wait for somebody to try and rectify themselves. They're not going to say, okay, he gave up 3 runs, but we got 8 innings to go. We'll see how he straightens up. They're not going to do that. Last year, Severino gave up a bunch of runs in the first inning against the Minnesota Twins. They yanked him, okay? They're not going to play games with a winner-take-all wildcard game. I think both teams will end up in the bullpen early on, 4th, 5th, maybe 6th inning, depending on how the starting pitcher goes. Having said that, offense sells tickets. People want to see hits. People want to see home runs. It's exciting. It's interesting. But defense wins games. Pitching is going to ultimately play a major factor in who wins this game. Subjectively, of course, I think the Yankees are going to win. Objectively, I think the Yankees win under the following qualifiers. Pitching holds up. You pitch to win each inning at a time. The bats work the count. Get the starter out of the game as quickly as possible and take your chances against the bullpen. They can do that. They have an excellent chance of coming out on top. Could anything happen dramatically in the late innings? Absolutely. But looking at both teams, how they're constructed, how they're most likely to play the game, I would say under those conditions, the Yankees are most likely to win the game. Anything short of that, it's flip a coin. So, in closing, for this video, I'd like to address the question asked by a viewer. Why didn't the Yankees pursue DeGrom? Jacob DeGrom is probably the leading candidate for the National League Cy Young Award. He would have been a tremendous asset going into the postseason here and definitely an asset towards catching Boston. But when the price is too high, the price is too high. Okay? Jacob DeGrom is a phenomenal pitcher, no question. However, when the Mets have publicly announced that they would charge the Yankees more than any other team in baseball because they're the Yankees, and then they ask for all kinds of silly, crazy, outlandish demands, it takes such a high caliber pitcher out of the running for consideration. And what I mean by that is the package that the Mets insisted upon getting from the Yankees for DeGrom included both Gleyber Torres and Miguel Andujar, 2 hitters that are 1 and 2 in leading for the American League Rookie of the Year awards. Plus, they wanted a slew of relief pitchers. Fundamentally, 1 pitcher is not going to win you a championship, but 2 promising youngsters who have competed far and above anybody else in the league, as far as Rookie of the Year is concerned, can absolutely have a dramatic impact on the postseason run. It's just not worth the price for 1 pitcher. Even a Nolan Ryan in his prime is not worth the massive package that New York was demanding. Will it bite them in the end? We shall see. However, I'm looking forward to Wednesday's game against Oakland, and I'll be happy to share a review as well as breakdown of the Boston against whomever series next weekend. Until then, I want to know what you think about what I think. Have a great day. Take care.